Hey everyone, welcome to this week's Authority Hacker podcast. Before we get started, I just want to say sorry, the video quality is not necessarily going to be what you used to. We had some problems with Doom, but I think it's worth powering through that because this week we have a really cool interview. I know you guys like the interviews I did recently, so I did another one with Matt Giovanisci from moneylab.co. And it's one of the guys that I really like because he's not full of shit like a lot of online marketers. He accepts that he doesn't always win, and he makes his content based on real life experiments, which I think a lot of you guys will appreciate. So I'm not going to tell you more, but what's really cool about Matt is that he does things very differently from what we do. He does not build links to his site. He uses a lot of social media, etc., and he's still doing pretty well. So I think it's worth listening to the way he builds sites, and I think there is lessons that we can all take away from the way he does things so that we can do better. But before I get started with the interview, you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to remind you, we have a subscribe button below this. Don't forget to click it, click on the bell as well, click on the like. It's all free and it really helps us grow the podcast, so I would really appreciate it if you did that. And thank you for listening. Let's get started with the interview. Hey Matt, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining the Authority Hacker podcast. I'm not sure everyone knows who you are. I actually was reading your blog before you contacted us to join the podcast, so I knew you, I knew who you were and what you were doing. But I don't think everyone does. So can you just introduce who you are, what you do, and the projects you work on?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
No worries.
So I run a few sites, but my biggest one is called swimuniversity.com. And I teach people how to take care of their pools and hot tubs. And I've been doing that since 2006-ish, 2004. And I've been full-time since 2011. And I also have a site called Brew Cabin, which is a home brewing website where I teach people how to home brew because I'm a home brewer. I also grew up in the pool industry, hence the reason I have the pool site. And I have a site called moneylab.co where I basically do experiments and do challenges on those two sites. And I just kind of like I want to say live blog or live journal about them publicly on MoneyLab.
Yeah, I think that's why I follow MoneyLab because, like a lot of online marketing content is just like, it's pretty terrible, let's be honest.
Yeah.
It's like, it just feels like it's written by people who never did that. But I like the experiments. I like that you show that. And I think there's always like some kind of learnings that you don't necessarily find in similar articles when you do the experiments. So it's always quite interesting. Even if they don't work out or something, you're like, oh, that's probably why it didn't work out or something. And also, yeah, you're honest. Like when it doesn't work out, you just tell people it didn't work out. Which, there's not a lot of people who do that in online marketing, let's be honest.
No, and the one thing that I say about that too is sometimes when everyone's like, oh, fail fast. And when you fail, you learn. And it's all about like, oh, this didn't. Yeah, it's like this didn't work out, but oh, you know what? I learned so much in the process. Where I go, this sucked. That was just terrible. Like, yeah, maybe I learned something, but come on, man, this is awful. And so I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting as well because what you do very often is you take what you find in like most articles that talk about a topic. When you say you're doing this podcast one, for example, now, etc. I feel like you're following I've read like 100 guides on like optimizing for iTunes / Apple Podcasts, etc. And I feel like you're doing that. It's like I feel like a lot of the times people try that, it just doesn't work out. It's just like not real or something. And it's good that you expose that essentially because
Right, because a lot of them will write how-to articles and they'll collect all this information. Right, and it's just like, right, exactly.
It's like near or whoever writes a guide without having done it very deeply, and then everyone just copies the article, and because Google wants that intent on page one, they essentially assume that this is the correct information. That's what ranks on page one. Everyone believes that's what you should do. Nobody tries, and then when people try, they're like, nah.
Yeah, and no one will expose that, right? And I guess that's why I don't have a lot of SEO traffic on MoneyLab because, I mean, I'm not, part of the why MoneyLab is my favorite thing that I do, and I'm very proud of it, which is weird for me to say because I'm just, as somebody who creates things online, like I quickly get bored and I quickly move on to things. But MoneyLab is that thing I keep coming back to. Like, man, I like doing this because. I am honest. I'm honest in real life. Like I kind of wear everything on my sleeve. And if I feel pain, if I'm I'm hurt, that's the first thing I'm going to walk up. They're like, how are you? I'm like, you know what? My foot hurts. I got a headache today. They're like, oh man.
But, so we're quite similar. We're quite similar in that aspect. Like I think, I think people will be right at home with you.
Yeah, and I think putting that online is authentic, and I try not to do, because there is definitely a lot of people who do false authenticity, right? False honesty, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, like blah blah blah, but then the way that they speak feels like you're getting marketed it to, right?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like, I don't want to say anti-marketing, because I guess what I do is marketing, but it's just like, I don't really care if you buy my stuff. I just want to do the content that I like to do, which is just, and what's easy for me is just to sit there and talk about what I'm doing. And if it fails, it fails. If it works out, it works out. And if it works out like kind of okay, I'll say that too. It's like, I'm not trying to fluff my numbers or anything.
Yeah, that's why your content is interesting to follow. Like, there's not a lot of online marketing sites I follow, but you don't have time to publish a lot because obviously these take a long time and they're quite difficult to do. So, I mean, I understand, we've done that before. It takes forever.
Yeah.
So I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, but when there's a new post, it's quite interesting to follow. But before we get to talk about all that stuff, I want to talk about Swim University. I want to talk about your authority sites, all that stuff, because you've actually done that longer than we have. I mean, we're called Authority Hacker, and you started before us. So
yeah, well, I don't know if I've been doing it good for a long time, but I've been doing it for a long time. You know what I mean? I stumbled my way for the last 15 years into this.
I mean, yeah, it's like, it's easy when someone has already done all the tutorials to follow that and do it again and like catch up really quickly to them. We have a lot of our members who caught up to us really quickly as well. We're like, we did our course on like showing how we did our stuff, and some people who were like really low just took these things, and sometimes they're beyond us at this point.
Right.
So, when you're the first ones doing this, it's normal to like that it's difficult, and so
it's uncharted territory.
Exactly. So let's talk about Swim University. You had another site called Roasty Coffee. You sold it, right?
I sold it. Yeah, I sold it in 2018 for $55,000, which you can read about on Money Lab. Yeah.
Okay.
I had it for 2 years. And what I did with that site was I was basically like, and I can talk about Swim University because I've been doing that one for so long, and it is an authority site. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And I was like, you know what? I like coffee. I want to start something new. And I didn't even research it. I was just like, oh, I like coffee, so I'm just going to do a coffee site. And I immediately came up with Roasty off the top of my head. I was like, that's cute. And my goal was to take the last 10 years of running Swim University and all the mistakes and everything that I did and go, can I do this in half the time or faster? And in 2 years, I was able to grow it from zero. There was nothing. It was not. I didn't buy the site or anything. It went from nothing to about 100,000 visitors a month in 2 years, only by producing one article a week. Every Monday we would produce a new article. So by the end, I had about 104 articles.
Nice. Like, it's quite interesting that you didn't try to scale content more. Like, usually when people build these kind of sites, like starts working, they're like, oh, okay, we're gonna 10x the content and 10x the links, and then keep doing that. I guess you focus more on quality, or like you try to build some kind of promotion engine behind the content or something?
Yeah, quality and just, organic backlinks. I didn't build any backlinks for that site. I'm kind of that's kind of my move, is to just mainly focus on the quality, promote it to the people that, give us permission to market to them, whether it's through email marketing or social media. We really didn't do for Roasty. We only had a YouTube channel. With maybe 25 videos. And then we had all the other channels, like we had, Pinterest, but we really didn't do any of those. We just focused on, building articles on the site with some videos and promoting that to our audience. And then Google just kind of finds you and rewards you because you make good stuff. And that was, it was really about focusing on quality over time. And we're only talking 2 years, which isn't really that long, but I didn't go and build, ask a bunch of people for backlinks. I didn't try to scale up and do 2 articles a week, 3 articles a week, every single day. I know that, when I sold it, that certainly I think was the case, because when I sold it,
when I look at the site, I can see it like from like something with personality to something that's just like a generic site about coffee.
Yeah,
to be honest.
Right. But when you look at the traffic, and especially in something like Ahrefs, you just see it go like it just skyrockets. And I'm like, okay, and that was just stuff I wasn't willing to do, because I had some principles on the site, specifically that coffee one, where I was like, I'm not going to talk about Keurig machines and espresso machines, because it was really about like making really good coffee at home. So, principles get in the way sometimes.
I agree. It's like we were talking about that with Mark, my co-founder, on another podcast. We're like, imagine if we blasted our email list with JV Zoo offers, etc. Like, it's like we would lose all our souls, but like we would probably make pretty good money.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
that's true.
I guess it's that kind of. Do you ever do link building for your sites? Like
Nope.
Never.
Mm-mm.
It's very interesting. We're kind of like the opposite here, so it's going to be very interesting to talk about this.
Yeah, I've kind of going back to Swim University and talking about how that whole site started, because I was in the pool industry since I was 13, and I was a pool guy. I didn't go to people's houses to clean their pools. I worked in retail, so people would come into me. I was a 13-year-old. Adults would come into the store and be like, "My pool's green," and I'm like, "All right, come on, Dad, let me show you how to do this." And it's like there's a lot of power behind that. And then I learned how to do website design because I was in a band. And long story short, I just married those two worlds together and I created Swim University. And that was in 2004 was the idea. And then I bought the domain names and I procrastinated for a couple of years. I lost the domain names, had to buy them back. And then I really started in 2006. And so, and it was the same thing. I was writing all the articles and I wasn't a good writer. I actually dropped out of college, failed every English class in high school. And I just had to kind of, beat my way through it and started doing videos and stuff. And at the time, this was 2000, I want to say 2007, I joined a community called the Keyword Academy. And this was like the first, I think this is like pre-Pat Flynn, all this stuff.
It's pretty old.
Yeah, and at the time they were, I can tell you the story.
Samurai?
Was it before that or was it?
Was it a community by Market Samurai? It's like
no, it was completely no. Do you know? There was a guy. It was Courtney Tuttle, I believe his name was, and Mark. I'm drawing a Butler, and so these two guys basically started this community. I think it was $35 a month, and they were teaching us how to build backlinks, write articles, and we were using Unique Article Wizard. We were spinning content.
I was doing that at the time too.
Remember Easing Articles?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So they sent me merch because I was giving them so much content and just getting backlinks. And then 2008 hit, which was either Panda or Penguin, and my site was like,
Design articles literally from like one of the sites that rank in every subs to literally not existing anymore.
Yes, and I literally had like a 300-word article about robotic pool cleaners, and I was just putting it in Unique Article Wizard, and it just changes sentences and just keeps produce like 10 or 15 articles for you, which were unique. And I had a spreadsheet where I was just like, all right, I had like 150 backlinks on Easing Articles and all these other article directories. And then they were building in the community, they were building software so that all of us in the community could share posts between each other. And our like our really basically a content or a link farm we were basically building. But all of this was done in earnest. We weren't being taught because this is how you game the system, blah, blah, blah. It was just how you did things back then.
Everyone did SEO that way. Like literally White Hat was not economically viable. When you look at the amount of backlinks you could create and how successful they were. Like I ranked websites in 4 hours with Unique Article Wizard at the time.
Right.
It's like it was just too good for White Hat to be viable.
Yeah, and Google wasn't using AI at the time. They were using backlinks as votes, right? And it just worked. So, and then 2008 hit, we tanked. They completely changed their business model, and that's kind of when I left the community and was like, oh man, these guys did really we all kind of took a hit, and I was like, I need to find another way. And then I found Pat Flynn at the time, and then I found Corbett Barr, who ran at the time Think Traffic, and I followed his mantra, which was just write good stuff for human beings. And that was a novel idea to me at the time, and I started doing that. And all of a sudden, like I remember sitting down and writing a post about pool algae, like really sitting down and going like, okay, I've been writing these 300-word articles all about different parts of pool algae, but I'm going to sit down and write the ultimate guide to like getting rid of pool algae, and film a video and show graphs and charts. And like, because I can do, my skill set is not writing. It's all the other multimedia stuff surrounding writing. And that article took off. And then I did a cloudy pool one. And I was like, oh, this is really working. So I started to come back, and I haven't turned back, and I stopped building backlinks with that day. And the site has just every year, just, triples or doubles in growth.
Interesting. And how fast was the growth? Like, was it like slow growth, or did you like really go fast, basically?
No, it was slow. Okay. There was a year, it was 2000. So 2000, man, this is like from 2008 to 2000 and let's call it 14, or let's call it 2013. I was working full time, and I really, really hate writing. And you may not, if you look at all of my stuff, it may not look that way. But to me, sitting down at this computer and typing and writing is just, it really just sucks the life out of me. And it's because of my whole life I've been told I was a shitty writer. And then when I started doing this, I'm like, all right, I'm going to learn some grammar on my own, because I have to do, writing is how you make money on the internet. Like, it's kind of an important skill to have. And so I did that. And for those years, I was working full time at a pool company doing marketing. So doing like the online marketing stuff.
Writing for them.
I was writing for them, and I was designing their website, and I was doing their newspaper ads. I was filming TV commercials. I was doing radio ads, like all the marketing stuff for this like big pool company. And so I come home, and I'm like, the last thing that I want to do is write more about this topic and to do my own stuff. And so I kind of, I started a website. I started learning how to code like in PHP, and I was building a social network for dogs at one point, because I thought that could be a thing. And I had like all these other affiliate sites, like a Crocs website and a snowboarding website and a home recording studio website. And, I just kind of was losing losing that focus and like, all right. So then 2013 hit, and 2011 hit. I lost my job, which I knew was coming. And I knew I was going to get unemployment, and I was like, "Oh my God!" Because I had already once, I didn't know about unemployment when I first got laid off, like many years before that. And I went and got a job at Target for like 6 months because it was the winter. I didn't know I could have taken that entire 6 months off and gotten unemployment. So I knew now that was a thing, and I used it as a like small business loan from the government. And I, sold my place, sold my car, lowered my expenses, and just hammered out content on Swim University for an entire year. And then nothing happened. Like it grew very little. And I started another thing with my buddy Andrew. We started listenmoneymatters.com and a podcast that is pretty successful now. And at the time was pretty successful because it was early on in the podcasting stage. And then that year I didn't do anything on Swim University, and it tripled.
So I was like, all that work before, and then Google just like it takes time basically.
And plus my business is seasonal too. So they're not going to rank pool stuff in the winter. They're gonna, when people start searching, then I think So all of a sudden I'm like, I went from making basically like 10 grand a year from my site with like AdSense, some Amazon, or not even Amazon at the time. It was Google DoubleClick, I think I was doing my affiliate links through. Okay. And now Google DoubleClick is something different. But before it was before they had an affiliate program before.
They had Google Affiliates, I remember. Like I never used it, but I remember checking it out.
Yeah, and I was using LinkShare, and then that changed. So then I moved to Amazon, and I went from like 10 grand to 40 grand a year. And I was like, oh, okay. This is working. And then the next year,
on the old Amazon commission scheme, right? On the volume one.
That was was when I was hitting 8% because I was like the very top.
Yep.
And it was great because it didn't matter what category at the time.
Yep.
And then the following year, I went from 40 to 100,000. So it was like a big jump. And I was doing sponsorships. I was doing affiliate stuff with Amazon. I had built my own plugin, which we'll talk about later, that eventually became Lasso. And what else was I doing? I had my own products. I had my own digital products that I was selling on the site. So yeah, kind of like, and it wasn't even it was a traffic thing and a, just better monetization strategy overall.
Yeah.
And then that was in 2014.
I like that you're doing multiple monetization methods because a lot of affiliates I see, they just do affiliates. It's like affiliates, and then just like nothing else. I'm like, guys, actually, AdStrive is pretty good if you want to do ads. Or like, even building an email list, it's very difficult to convince people to build an email list. I can see we have a course called Authority Hacker Pro. We have a lot of members, and I can see people doing really well with the affiliate marketing stuff, but like trying to get people to build that email list and email people and actually talk to people is complicated,
Yeah, especially when affiliate marketing is just so easy, right? You just throw some links on there, and it's like, hey, people are clicking.
Yep. Well, the problem with affiliate marketing is that big companies have taken notice now, and a lot of affiliate subs are getting filled with very big media sites, etc. I mean, like Forbes.com and Business
Insider, Wirecutter.
PC Mag, if you're in the software industry. Like all these guys are essentially taking these spots. It's more difficult. So I think it's a good idea to diversify. And talking about the diversifying revenue, like first of all, like where are you at today with that site? Like where is it at right now?
What's Sobi Diversity?
Yeah,
it's doing about 400,000 a year on that site, and the traffic is about. It kind of fluctuates. I'm going to say 450,000 unique visitors a month on average. So in like
super seasonal.
Yeah, in June we get like 1.5 million, and in January we get like 250.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. I mean, we have seasonal sites as well. We know exactly how that works. What percentage of the revenue is like? I mean, you don't have to give me exact numbers. I'm trying to get like a bird's eye view of like what's affiliate marketing, what's ads. And what's your product / email / all that stuff like?
So I stopped doing ads 2 or 3 years ago because I was just terrible at sales. I tried hiring a sales team. It wasn't working out. I didn't want people on my site to think that these how-to articles we were writing were just big sales pitches for these corporations. And also in the pool industry, a lot of pool companies don't advertise direct to consumer. They advertise to retail stores, and then the retail stores are the ones. So it was a really difficult monetization strategy for us. The biggest year we ever had with sponsorship ads, and I'm talking about like we did all the work by getting the sponsorship, not something like AdThrive or Buy Sell Ads or anything.
That's how I was gonna go next, but I'll let you finish.
Yeah. So the biggest year we ever had was $75,000 in revenue, and it was all me, and it was just, I mean, like the amount of, the soul crushing, the amount of work that it took to just get an ad. I'm like, this is not worth 75,000. So I stopped that. And so I'm sorry, I've completely lost. Oh, so the percentages, right? So you have right now. So right now it's about 70% affiliates from Amazon exclusively.
Interesting.
And 30% from digital products. So I have 2 products. One's called the Pool Care Handbook and Video Course. The other one's called the Hot Tub Handbook and Video Course. They're both $49 each, one-time purchase. And that's it. And I'm trying to even go 60-40. So it used to be 80-20, and before that was 90-10. And I'm just trying to increase the product sales if I can.
So you don't monetize your info content other than collecting leads at this point, right?
Yeah, so it's the articles on the site and even the videos. The videos specifically are advertising the products that we sell. The content itself is affiliate links and also the products that we sell, and collecting an email address so that we could sell our products or future products or affiliate links.
I would recommend you try AdStrive or Mediavine. Actually, some people get like really good EPCs from these, and it removes the work part that you don't like. And it's like even us, we tried it on our roundup reviews, etc. And common sense would tell you that this is distracting people away from clicking on affiliate links, etc. And we haven't found that actually. And Matt Giovanisci did the same test and got the same result actually, where he did not find that it would reduce the affiliate earnings. Or if it was like a small single-digit thing, like within margin of error.
How do you justify the speed of the site? Because that's, to me, the biggest reason. Well, there's 2 reasons I don't do ads. Yeah, and I'm a speed okay. speed's incredibly important to me. If you go to my sites, they load under a second. I'm like a psychopath.
It's gonna cost you speed. There's no way around that. You can asynchronously load the ads, etc. Like you can do all these things. But first of all, if you async load the ads above the fold, then actually they won't necessarily show by the time people start scrolling, so you will actually make less revenue. So there's that. You're giving up. Yeah. But the thing is, like, I mean, my personal view on page speed is you just need to be better than your competitors.
Which I was by a landslide.
I'm sure, exactly. And so
already
you probably have some bargaining page speed that you can give up for monetization, provided it doesn't affect your ranking. So maybe like try it within one category or something like that.
Or one article or something.
You know what I mean? Like I would probably give it a test, because I understand page speed is important, but it's only important to be competitive in your industry. It's not like, and honestly, I think in the pool industry, people are not tech with websites.
No. But what's important about the pool industry is my audience is like 40 to 50-year-olds. So yeah, not very tech savvy, but a lot of them are on iPads and iPhones. That's where, 75%, if not 80% of my audience comes from that. And they're out at their pools, which is far enough away from their Wi-Fi network, where things just have to load quickly or they're going to get frustrated.
Well, so then I think load the ads. If you asynchronously load the ads, you're not giving up on the contents page load speed. You can, for us, we use a tool called nitropack.io. That's basically our CDN / it basically takes all the HTML, takes all your plugins, etc., and just rewrites your pages and optimizes it and serves that as a CDN. And then what I do is I have that, and then I exclude the ads, but I make them asynchronously load, so that content loads first, and then I'm willing to lose a little bit of revenue because maybe an above the fold ad is not going to show because people scroll too fast or something.
Right.
But it's not too bad. And I'm not saying that it doesn't cost you anything. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
I'm saying you might be able to squeeze that, generate quite a lot more revenue, and not really lose traffic.
Do you? How does that make you feel though, as just a person to serve? You know what I mean? Like, that you mentioned.
It's a
I think before
choice, right?
Right. And you mentioned. I don't know if you mentioned before the show or if we were talking about it on the show, where we're like, the whole the whole idea of like it being a soul crushing endeavor, but we would all make a lot more money if we did it.
I understand. It's a choice to make,
Yeah.
The thing is, like with AdStrive, like you can tell that you can choose which categories you want, except like you can make sure there's no like soft porn ads on your site, which I would not be really happy with, especially like for us who are like in weight loss, etc. It's like the kind of stuff that can start showing up in these niches, and so you need to be careful. It's a balance to strike, right? It's so actually it's funny because I was talking about that, but I was going to talk about your email funnels next, which I'm sure you'd be happier to grow that rather than put ads on the site. So one thing I've noticed is both on MoneyLab and on Swim University, you have the title of the article and then you have an opt-in right below that. How well does that work for you?
I don't know. I am not measuring them individually. So I will say that. I will say what I did do and why this was really just kind of an eye-opener for me. In 2015, I started using SumoMe to do pop-ups.
Yep.
And my goal was to see if pop-ups would increase my email subscribers, and then I would build my own version of SumoMe because I am a developer. And I just knew that it's crushing page speed, and it looked like crap. And I'm like, all right, well, let me just see if it works. So did that for a couple months. It worked very well.
Oh, yeah.
I went from my goal was to get at least a 1% traffic to email conversion rate. I think I got a 0.9 in the end. I'm like, cool.
Did you do it? Did
I? No, it was just seconds, 30-second pop up. And I had it different on every page. So if you're reading a pool algae post, it was like, hey, here's an opt-in for a pool algae thing. So I was getting very specific on which pages and what the offer was. And it worked really well. But then I realized a lot of the email addresses were kind of like not really engaged with my not really engaged in my email content. And then I started noticing like, well, I'm just paying more to MailChimp at the time for all these email addresses that like I'm constantly cleaning my list. This is awful. I ended up switching to ConvertKit because, I know Nathan and the team over there, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to, I want to be a part of the community and give back and whatever. So I moved there, and that's more expensive than MailChimp. And so I was like, well, now it's really important for me not to have a list of just a bunch of people who don't open emails, and it's not worth it. But the reason that I wanted so many email addresses in the first place was because I was selling ads against that huge number of people. Yep. Like I had 50,000 people on my list, and I'm like, we have a 50,000 pool owners, you can advertise to. If they didn't know the open rate, the open rate was like 20%.
Most retails, they don't know it. Like they just want the numbers of followers.
They want the big numbers. Yeah. Exactly. So long story short, I got rid of everything, and the email dropped. The opt-in dropped to like 0.2%, and I started using Write Message, which is a software. Yeah. So that software basically will create like toasters and exit intent pop-ups and embeddable things, but you can change the message of what's in those opt-ins based on the content, which is really, really fascinating.
Interesting.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this, and I'm going to see if I really target, if you're reading an article about cloudy pools, I'm going to create an opt-in, 3 different opt-ins on the same page that say, hey, I'll help you fix your cloudy pool, blah, blah, blah. Just very relevant. And I, again, climbed up to about a 0.05% was where I was at. So it was like pretty decent.
But if you're not aggressive, it's pretty good. Yeah. Yeah.
And at that point I was kind of like really focused on page speed. Like I was kind of like, I really wanted my site to load under a second. And that one plugin was slowing. It was adding a full second to my page load.
Yep.
And I was like, I don't want to build my own. Yeah. And I was like, I don't want to build my own version of this where things pop up. I just don't want to deal with JavaScript. And so I decided, well, let me just add a super lightweight, pure HTML form. And I'm going to add it at the top. I'm going to add it at the bottom. And I'm going to add it, where else is it? Top and bottom. And that's it.
And how's that going?
I didn't see a change in numbers. It stayed at 0.5 to 0.6. So I'm like, I think having it at the top works. I think having it at the bottom works. And I have it.
Yeah, it's not.
I feel like I have it somewhere else too. Like sometimes it appears in the middle, I guess.
You have like a widget you put in the content maybe or something like this?
I think so. I think with Money Lab, did I do something else?
I'm checking right now, actually.
I'm looking. I have it at the top. Yeah. No, I think I just have it at the top and the bottom.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, because it's interesting. Like maybe it's less is more,
Well, and I also didn't change. Like now the message isn't changing. So every single pool article has the same message. And the message is just subscribe to our email list. And one of the things that I did, which I recently did, and Andrew at Listen Money Matters told me this as a tip, now the word subscribe has connotations of paying, because we have Netflix, we have, everything. So and I, again, dealing with an older audience, I have to write, my button says, I think it says, it only says this on Swim University, but it says subscribe, it's free.
Yes, it says that.
Yeah. Right? So, and yeah, I think that worked. I mean, it's very little increase, but still like, people know that I don't have to pay for whatever this is. Like, what am I subscribing to? And the only thing I would do differently on Swim University is perhaps add some kind of text at the top that says what it is you're getting by subscribing. Because that's the only place I don't have it. I was going to add it in the text box, but yeah, I mean, I'm very, very happy with how lightweight it is and how many subscribers we're actually converting.
Okay, it's interesting. That's why I'm asking you, because like not many people do it that way. Like everyone's just trying to do something really fancy, etc. And I was like, actually, it's not that bad, So I'd like to see how it does. Actually, I have a friend, especially if you have like an older audience. I have a friend who has also an older audience, and what he does is he has a system that automatically makes a PDF from the post, and the opt-in is just download this post as a PDF.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's all built in WordPress. and essentially it creates a lead magnet for the post that's like semi-relevant, and all the people love downloading PDFs. From
crazy.
What we found.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. But you know, one of the biggest problems I have is we have our product is called the Pool Care Handbook, and I added a video course to it. No matter how. It's just a PDF, right? But no matter how many places on the sales page that I mention, this is a PDF, downloadable PDF, I still get emails. Yeah, where's my book? I never got my book. I'm like, you never entered your address. How am I supposed to send you a book? And they're like, well, can I get a book? I'm like, it's full color. It's going to cost you like $50 if I were to send these books out. So, 300 pages, full color, So, yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times I write it. People don't read. That's the bottom line there.
They buy and they don't. I mean, we had the same problem. We sold, like, as I said, we sold info products in the health industry, and that was exactly the same. Like, we had to literally put some kind of like animated GIF that says that this is like some kind of like this is online only or something.
It's like downloadable.
It's like it moves on the screen, so
right?
People pay more attention, and even then, like a small percentage would still do that. What happens when I opt into your list?
Which one?
Let's do Swim University.
You get a series of emails forever, basically. Okay. It's one long automated sequence of pool emails teaching you a different thing each week, every Tuesday. So you get the first email that's like, hey, welcome to Swim University. Here's what to expect. And then every Tuesday you get a new email with like links to our content, all kind of themed around one subject.
Cool.
And it's like,
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's like 50 emails. So it's just, and then once you're done, because we found out that the average life cycle of a subscriber is 246 days. So we were like, okay, as long as we have enough content for that, we're good. And
average means 50%, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So the goal is to sell our products. And if you don't buy our products.
Do you hard sell to your list?
Do I what?
Do you like sell promo emails?
Yes. Actually, that is what you get in the beginning. You get like a 3. I was going to
ask how's your soul.
I forgot about that. Yeah. So we've tested this so many times, but basically, we have it set up to where as soon as you subscribe as an email subscriber, you go to a thank you page. The thank you page is all text, and all it says is it's just me as a person going, hey, thanks for subscribing. Here's what you're going to get. By the way, we have these 2 products. Everything on this website is free, but these 2 products is how we keep the lights on. It's how we make money. And if you want to support the site with all this free content, I would be happy if you bought these things. And they're just links. There's no like anything fancy. That page converts like gangbusters. Just from and then the next 3 emails are hard sells, but if you've already bought, you don't get them, right? You're just kind of like taken off of it. Or if you buy, so it's like 3 days in a row, boom, 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 hard sell, hard sell, hard sell. And then you get your weekly emails. Now, if the weekly emails, if you go through that whole hard sell, basically, 4 days of really kind of just pitching our product, if you can get past that and not buy, then at the bottom of every single email for the next 50 weeks, you're going to see a PS, here's our book. And that PS is different in every email, depending on what the email's about. And if you do buy, you never see that. So you never get pitched again because we only have
content.
Yeah. And then you're basically just getting free content forever. And we just hope you click affiliate links at that point until we have future products. Maybe there's a membership coming up. Maybe there's a, individual like micro products about very specific topics. We don't know yet, but that's kind of the strategy there.
So we kind of have like similar things. I really like the like one long autoresponder. It's like, I like it. And then sometimes I build like sub-segmentations, like people like they click on a blog post about, I'll take an example on Toy Hacker because people who listen to this podcast know it, but like people click on a link building post, then it might just like opt you into like a link building sales sequence and resume the content after that. So I'm able to tag people for what they like as well. I'm building their profiles as they do that. But one thing that we found that increases sales like crazy is using Evergreen Scarcity. Actually, I don't know if you have looked into that.
What do you mean?
We use a tool called Deadline Funnel, right? So
Yep.
So basically, what we do is we're like, well, this course sells for this much. Here's the sales page you can see, and people do buy it. And you know what? There's like a 40% discount for the next 7 days, and then there will be a hard sell period. And when it's over, it's just like back to casual content, very similar to what you do. But as soon as you and it really does close with something like Deadline Funnel, like it's not just a bullshit timer.
Right.
It's like you really try to like do your tracking. Obviously, this is never 100% proof. Like it never works 100%, but it works 99% of the time, you know?
Right.
And you do respect your deadlines. If someone emails you after the deadline, you like don't offer it, etc. If you do that, I think it's according to my book, I think it's ethical enough. At the same time, you get a massive boost in sales. So I would say you should probably look at that.
Yeah. I think we do something similar where it's been a little while, you know, I really do dislike email marketing, if I'm being honest.
Okay. We're going to change topic then after that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Because the reason I dislike it is because I just, you can very easily overcomplicate it, especially with all these new email marketing tools. And I want to so bad, you know, over tag everybody and really build profiles, but then I have literally nothing to do with it. Like it's like once I have it, I'm like, whoa, it's like at a time I was just finding out, like, when you subscribe, do you have an in-ground pool or an above-ground pool? Do you have are you using chlorine? Are you using salt? And I go, I don't care. It's just like you're buying the same thing at the end of the day anyway.
I agree.
And so every time I overcomplicate it, I end up losing sales. And when I simplify it, I gain sales. And I think we do that 3-day sequence is kind of like a 72-hour sale, right? And then after that, it goes back to the original price, and that's it.
That's exactly what I was recommending you to do, actually.
And we do 10% off. We don't even go because it's a $49 product. It's not it's really relatively expensive. And I figure like 20% is a lot, but 10% is like just good enough to be like, 72 hours, 10% off. It's pool season. Yeah, I'll get this thing.
That's the most
it's a lot of
at the beginning as well. Like it's like some people, you know, they're like, oh, you need to do all this nurturing. We found that this is wrong. Like, you know, it's one of these
same.
We found that the best thing to do is just to sell right away as people opt in. It's like where you get the most of sales by a long shot, actually.
And the products that you're selling, how much are they? On average?
I mean, like we've done.
They vary.
The range was $27 to $2,000. So there's been some ranges, you know. It's like, but every single time it works the same, actually.
Really? So I would naturally assume that higher priced products would require more nurturing.
So they do, but like the thing is, like you do the nurturing in your lead magnet, for example. So for example, the lead magnet is going to be like a free 2-hour video. So like, you know, it's going to be more involved. And then the nurturing is like right here, right there. Here's a chunk of value. And people do make that they're like the hottest. And at the same time, you just deliver the value, you know, Netflix way. Like people want to binge content, right?
Yep. Yep.
And so you just front end the content.
Yep. It seems to work.
That's what has worked better for us, actually.
And it's real simple.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about social media as well, because you do a lot of social media. And honestly, we're getting there, but we're not amazing at social media. And a lot of our followers are like pure SEO people. And I think there would be a lot of benefits to them if they were, you know, adding a little bit of that stuff. So I've seen that you're active on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest for Swim University. Is that correct? Like,
the only Facebook is so for Swim University, we only do Pinterest and YouTube. We did do Facebook and Twitter. I realized, I realized Twitter, just our audience, you know, they're just not on Twitter. Yeah. But it was so easy with Buffer and like, it's like the same content that you would just spit across all the different platforms. With Facebook, I basically just said, you know, like I basically hate Facebook because of ethical reasons. And so, and I, you know, the other day we're kind of like focusing our Pinterest strategy. And I was like, you know, we really should do Facebook because I know our audience is on Facebook.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of questions on Facebook. And what we have is a autoresponder that just says, hey, email us instead because I don't need my VA being in two places. But they usually do. They'll usually send in the question and then it pops up automatically saying, hey, email us. And then just copy and paste the question over to email. And in email, we can have a more engaged, like we have this whole thing in email where my VA has a whole document of if then if that then this, you know what I mean? So and she's really intelligent, so she can go, okay, this person's asking this question about whatever. She knows how to find that question either on our site or on Google and answer it for them. And then she basically says, thank you for sending your question, hope it helped, here's a coupon code for our product, right? So we're using that as like a marketing engine as well. And Facebook, just to me, what I hate about it is that you create this content and then it disappears into the ether and you're just constantly having to do this.
Your content, yeah.
Yeah, whereas like YouTube and Pinterest are search engines that you can create content that actually is evergreen. And I also just, when you look at Facebook as one of our traffic sources in Google Analytics, it's just like not that great. It's as compared to the other two. So we've doubled down on YouTube and Pinterest and
Facebook. They give you this, and then you need to pay to get this. Like it's just like a free trial.
Yep. Yeah. Man, that's the best way to put it. Yes. But on Money Lab, it's very much Twitter because that is literally where everybody is, right? If I'm sure everyone listening to this has a Twitter account, they're probably there as their like main social media, or Instagram. But Instagram I can't put links in there, therefore I completely ignore it.
You can put links if you have more than 10,000 followers.
20. Is it 10,000? I thought it was 20,000. Yeah.
For the swipe up on the stories. And TeleDAP as well, they have this thing. Did you see the bio link thing for Instagram? So you have that bio link that basically creates that page that takes the image from your Instagram post that you shared on Tailwind app, and then it links to that. So you're like, oh, click on my bio link, and people find the same image, click on it, and then they get to the link. Obviously, it's not great. It's not great user interface.
Right, but
that's one way to drive traffic from Instagram,
Yeah, and I just think like with Swim University, what are my pictures gonna be? Like a shock bottle, a algicide bottle, a swimming pool, but that's not what we do, right? So like anybody's gonna look looking at swimming pools. How do you target pool owners with a picture? But money, and again with Money Lab, it's like, what am I gonna show? Screenshots? I feel like that's a boring Instagram account. Although for Brew Cabin, that is where all homebrewers hang out. They hang out on Instagram and YouTube, and we do have an Instagram account for Brew Cabin, and it's very good. It just doesn't give us any traffic whatsoever. So it's just like, how long do I do this? Yeah.
Well, it's like, you should definitely run retargeting. Do you have products on Brew Cabin?
No, not yet.
So when you have products like running retargeting and people who engage on these social media, this is how you justify spending the time, basically.
Right.
Otherwise, it's kind of hard to monetize, right?
Yeah, we did a lot of retargeting on Swim University for Facebook ads, and we ran Facebook ads for those products. And I actually had a Facebook ads coach for like half a year. We just could not figure it out. And I think it was because the prices were so low on the products.
I was gonna say, you're too cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, too cheap. So like, and it was just like, I'm spending $50 to make $50. Nah.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the problem is that you need a $150 product, 150 to 200, and I think you can make this work and be like fairly profitable. Like,
the other thing we could do, and this is something I have on my list of like, I got to put a process in place and figure it out. I started paying for Crowdcast to do Money Lab. Kind of just like, hey, I'm jumping on Crowdcast to do a Q&A about podcasting, do a Q&A about page speed, whatever. And, just as an audience, kind of, what do I want to call it? Like just I feel like the podcast is really like an audience engager. Right? The podcast isn't well, for you it is because you're on YouTube, but it's not a place where it's not a discovery engine, but it's a solidification engine where if someone likes Money Lab, and they're like, oh, he has a podcast, I'll listen. Oh, I like this. It's like, yeah. So
it's like growing a podcast is a pain in the ass because it's so slow.
Yeah. So tell me about it. I mean, it was great back in 2014 when we, because our personal finance podcast has 80,000 downloads an episode, right? But we built that before there were really any podcasts, and now we're just kind of maintaining at the top. But it's still growing. It's really tough. And I think even that's what I'm doing with Crowdcast. And I have this idea that I want to do like a pool school, which is like maybe every week or every other week, where it's a Q&A style pool school for people, a webinar, and I sell the products through it, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe you drive, Facebook ads to that, and you grow your audience that way, and then who knows? So things I'm testing out this summer and trying to make it. The biggest problem is I can't put all my time and effort into it because I have these 3 brands, and it's like, well, where do I put my
How do you balance
time?
Your time? Actually, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah,
I think you need a more expensive product on. If you have this much traffic on Swim University, like holy shit, you need a more expensive product.
I just wonder if people will spend that.
There's only one way to know.
It's to do it right. I think and it's like the pool care handbook and video course. It's kind of like everything, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, what can I add to that? Or maybe I can create. I did. It used to be $29. Now it's $49.
So you do it. I don't know if you remember Lead Pages when they started, but the way they were doing this is they kept adding to the product features, and they were running price increase campaigns. So they would take the entire audience and be like, guys, the price, like we just added these features and these features and these features in the last few days, in the last few months, sorry. So the price is officially gonna go from $49 a month to $69 a month. But you have 7 days to catch the price as it is right now.
Yep.
And so your audience is not annoyed because they get a real opportunity to actually get the product at the best price. And then you slowly upgrade your product. That's how we did Authority Hacker Pro. And Authority Hacker is exactly that. Now it's a $2,000 product, but at the time when I started, it was 5 videos that we sold for $29.
You just keep adding and growing content, to it. Yeah. I did that with on Money Lab. I did that. So with Asana for Bloggers, which was my first course, used to be $25. And people were like, you are undercharging so much for this. And I was like, got it. I redid the course. I updated it because it had been like 4 years since I'd updated it, and added a whole bunch more content and gave everyone in my audience an opportunity to get it at $25 before I raised it to $99.
And you sold it
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. So it was great. And I did the same thing with Swim University. When the price was $29 and we were adding the video portion to it, I'm like, get it while it's hot. Get it while it's $29 because it's about to go to $49. And huge sales bump. And actually, every time we do a sale, because we do a sale every quarter, huge bumps, huge bumps in sale. And we just automate that. So every quarter, it's just like we're doing a spring sale, we're doing a summer sale, we're doing a fall sale, and it works. But I agree that Swim University needs higher priced products, or the opposite, bunch of lower priced products, right?
Yeah, one or the other.
One or the other. But
what you need you need to be able to get $200 for one person, let's say, like in the checkout, and you just sell them a bundle, or you sell them like one big product,
Yeah, I mean, and I use Podia to do all my sales, and I can do bundles and upsells very easily. And it's definitely something that I'm considering this summer, is to really kind of double down on Swim University and Money Lab, to be honest.
Nice. That was literally not the point of the question, by the way. We probably went off track.
Yeah, I'd say.
The point of the question, where I want to go, actually, I wanted to go to Pinterest, because I know you're like quite big on Pinterest. I used to be big on Pinterest, but the truth is I haven't done it for a while. My fiance does it, like her site gets a lot of traffic from Pinterest, but I haven't. So what's the plan on Pinterest these days? Like, how do people get traffic?
So this is really kind of like, all right, so I've done Pinterest for years. And I wouldn't say I'm huge on Pinterest, but I'm certainly like, I definitely feel like I understand it, and I've understood it since day one. But there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of education that I got that was, again, very early day black hat stuff, where it's like, hey, take the same pin, repin it, take the same pin, repin it. And just because it's all about freshness. And in my head, I'm just like, in my head, There was a thing called Board Booster. There's this program called Tailwind, which, I mean, people promote Tailwind. It is the worst UI I've ever seen for like a modern SaaS product. I'm like, guys, please get it together.
It's complex, yeah.
I won't use it because it looks so terrible. I use Buffer, right? Because it just looks better. But it doesn't do the same thing. Like Buffer doesn't have all the stuff. Yeah. But I just kept saying to myself, well, if Pinterest is a search engine and that's the way we're treating it, then it should work the exact same way as your blog, right? Where every single piece of content that you add to Pinterest should be new, should be fresh and new. And so the strategy that I employ is you have one article, right? You can promote that article several times on Pinterest as long as the image is different. And I'm not talking different enough, fully different, right? Because some people it's kind of like when you go on Facebook and you're running ads, you create like 15 images for one ad because, one's going to work better than the other. So if you think of it that way, all Pinterest wants is more images. That's what they are. They're an image driven. It's like Instagram. The fact, but like repinning over and over again just never made sense to me. But I kept hearing that, and then I kept hearing about like so it's like you want to use tall images, you want to use high contrast photos, you want to pin consistently, you want to pin to your own content, you want to do like they were talking about this 80-20 principle where it's like 80% of the content should be yours, and then you can repin 20% of other people's content, but you really have to be a curator to do that. And to be honest with you, I have no interest in that 20%. I'm just going to do my own thing because I'm trying to grow my own thing and not their thing. And if you look at Home Depot or any of the other, or Martha Stewart or any of the other huge, pinners, that's not what they're doing. They're pinning their own thing, right? Because they know that it's kind of a waste of time to pin other people's things. So my strategy is basically like go through all of our content and basically create right now 4 pins per post. And we have about 200 posts. And we've already pinned a lot of those, and we're just keeping track of it in the spreadsheet. And then once we fill up all 4, then we're going to do 5, right? So then it's like, do all the posts again, but
do the list and you add one more, basically.
Add one more, yeah. So that's kind of the strategy there, and it's a matter of just like putting as much content on Pinterest as possible, because whatever,
Do you optimize it for keywords? Like, do you like?
Well, so we, yep. So we already do that on Swim University, for Google, and I'm like, we're already doing it. We're already using Ahrefs. We've already, done all that research. And so I feel like, yes, Pinterest is a different engine, but people still have the same keywords. They're still the same people. And so the answer to that question is no, we've already done it. And so we already have a good title. We already have a good, we already have good text. So we just copy and paste a lot of the text from our article and throw it in the description of the pin, and we make sure we link to it, and it's all they're rich, so it pulls in the title already, and we just make sure that the image has a couple of the keywords from the title in it, and that the image is relevant. And it's me, I'm the one doing it right now. So doing
all of these, etc.
Right, because there is a team, but they don't have it. It hasn't been passed on to them yet, because the way that I approach all of this stuff is like, let me do it, and let me figure out the process, write it all down, and then go, who wants it? Who wants to do this?
Exactly the same. Literally right now, I'm editing our podcast to figure out how people should edit the podcast in video. And
I am doing that.
Call to actions I want, etc.
Yep, I'm doing that with. So we have I'm doing the experiment you mentioned earlier about the podcast for Swim University that's not working that well right now. I knew that from the beginning, and I started using the script, and I'm like, I've never used this before. I'm really curious about it, and so I'm kind of like doing the podcast soup to nuts, which is how I did Money Lab, which is how I did Listen Money Matters, and then eventually we handed it off to somebody else and go, here's the process, just duplicate. Yep.
As long as you document, I don't think it's a waste of time. Like, we have a company wiki, we just I write every task I do and I document it, and I feel it's worth the time, and it gets done a lot better than if you try to pass it on to someone without really caring about it,
Yeah, I do a document plus a video on how to do it. Like I just quickly record a screencast, like here's how I do it. And then I assign it to somebody, hey, watch this video. Here's the SOP in a Google Doc or whatever, or directly in Asana. And they're like, great, understood. And if they have questions, they'll comment. But other than that, it's pretty smooth. But yeah, that's kind of the Pinterest strategy. And I've heard from people that Pinterest has pretty poor traffic, meaning like if you look at Google Analytics, your bounce rate will be very high from Pinterest traffic. Your sales will be very low from Pinterest traffic. I've noticed that my bounce rate on from Pinterest traffic is the same as Google traffic. So that's decent to me. But yeah, the product sales are much lower, but affiliate links are the same, like click-wise. So yeah, I'm about to do a huge Pinterest experiment, or not an experiment, but a challenge. And I'm just going to like bulk do like 150, 250 pins and like schedule them all in Buffer, and then just measure, are we increasing product sales? Are we getting more traffic? What's the bounce rate? Are we getting more affiliate link clicks? Are those clicks converting, et cetera? Like all these different metrics to be like, is Pinterest a viable traffic engine for certain people?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, because it's quite easy to get traffic from Pinterest, but I agree, like the bounce rate I've seen is pretty high. So it's like I like it on sites that are, for example, monetized with like AdStrive or Mediavine. This is great, for example. It's kind of like, that's kind of the model, right? I know you don't want to do it. We talked about that.
Hey, if I'm willing to test anything. So that's, I mean, I've definitely talked to a lot of people who were like, Zoic is the one I've heard, AdThrive, Mediavine. But yeah. And what's the best one?
I found that AdStrive is the highest paying RPM, actually, like the best RPM.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
I think Mediavine has more options for site speed in their WordPress plugin, so you might want to look at them.
Okay.
So, and it's close enough, but I've heard also some people switching from Mediavine to AdStrive and getting plus 30% revenue. So, huge. you got to pick your
trade-offs. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Lasso?
Sure. So I mentioned earlier, and I can tell you the whole kind of evolution of it. It started with Swim University in 2014, and I was doing the podcast, the List of Money Matters podcast with Andrew, who was a developer, and that was his day job. And at the time, Swim University was using Linkshare, and I was dealing with one company. They were called Pool Supply World, and it's this one e-commerce store for pool stuff. And they had an affiliate program, and they had an affiliate manager that literally would talk to me, like we would call each other. So I had a really close relationship. But then Andrew was like, "Dude, you could be on Amazon and getting 8% instead of 5%." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah, and they have an API, so you should build something to automatically add products to your content." And I was like, dude, I'm not that good of a developer. Like, I'm dangerous, but not that. Like, I don't know how to use APIs. And he's like, dude, you can figure it out. Like, I bitched and moaned about like doing it. He was like, just go do it. And it was February 2014. And I sat down and I just did everything in my functions.php file. Like, it wasn't a plugin. It was just me smashing this code into my theme. And what it did was I would add a short code to an article that would say Amazon ID equals, and then the B number within Amazon. Yep. And what it would do is this code, this class that I built would go to the Amazon API, find that, search for that B number, grab all of the information, title, description, price, image. Yep. And when you load the page, it would happen when you load the page. And it would go find all that, store it into a local database, and display this box on the page that had the image, that had the description, that had the title, had the price, and had a buy button, buy now on Amazon. And then I ran a cron job every 24 hours to go through the database and refresh image and price and title if it needed to. And it would be like, hey, if the price changed, change the price, whatever. Worked. I mean, that's what sent me from 40 grand a year to 100 grand a year. was building that little thing that, they're like, little breakout boxes. And then many years went by, and I would just keep getting emails from people like, how are you doing that? What plugin are you using? And I kept saying, like, it's not a plugin. I built it. I couldn't even give you the code if I wanted to, because it would not work on your website. And I eventually moved it to a plugin style, but it was still very much like only worked on my site. And it allowed me, when I moved it to a plugin, it allowed me to install it across all 3 of my sites, but I would have to go in and change the code for each one. So it was really just clunky and bad. And there's a article on Money Lab. It's called like building and launching a WordPress plugin in 40 days, I think, where I teamed up with a developer and we took my code and turned it into a legit plugin called Earnest, which was Earn IST, and we ended up selling that for $49 for the whole year. So every year it would be $49 a year for the plugin. And at the same time I was doing that, I didn't know it, but Andrew was building Lasso, which was not the whole, it didn't actually use my code where it would display boxes on the site, which was really all mine did. It was like an affiliate link manager in WordPress. And it would, like, if you had a link to say, give me an example. Like if you linked to ConvertKit, like literally like convertkit.com in your content, or bluehost.com in your content, but then you signed up for an affiliate program for Bluehost, well, then it would go and find all of the times you linked to Bluehost, and you'd be able to flick a toggle, and it would just go to that content and convert it to your affiliate link. And I was like, whoa.
This is good. For us, like, even if the companies don't have affiliate programs, we tend to like make a short link anyway, and then be like, oh, the day they have an affiliate program, then we can use that as a pain in the ass, because I sometimes want to just give a do follow link, etc., and I can't because it's in my affiliate link thing, because I'm like, well, one day it might be one way to monetize it, etc. So
right. Yeah, so that was what he was doing, and then we teamed up and we built Lasso together, and we combined the 2 different styles. So it's a display box thing plus an affiliate link manager that lets you go and find these things. But the other thing we did was, and this is coming out in like April, May, where we've redesigned the whole thing, and now we have keywords. So let's say you have Bluehost, okay? And let's say you've mentioned Bluehost on your site, but didn't actually create a link for it. So you can type in Bluehost as your keyword. It will go through your content and find all of the references to Bluehost, and it will have a list of like, these are all your opportunities. If you want to flick a toggle, it'll take that keyword and turn it into an affiliate link on your site.
Is that going to work with page builders, Gutenberg, etc.? Because that's kind of the trick, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter because it's not in the content part. It's all done through database stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. The content builder stuff is what gets tricky. There is the display boxes and how you do that. But the display boxes are just short codes. So if you can add short codes to a page builder, then that's it. So what we're doing with the new version of Lasso. So Lasso does this now, besides the keyword stuff, but all the stuff I mentioned earlier is what it does now. But basically, we can tell you too, like, hey, you've mentioned, let's say you've been linking to ConvertKit all these years, but you didn't have an affiliate program. So now all of a sudden you do, and you can go and literally just toggle over and all those times you mention it and turn it into, and you can find, and we do that for all your links. So we track all of your links, not just your affiliate links. And what if you find out that, wow, I've been linking to Authority Hackers so much. Hey, do you guys have an affiliate program? And you're like, yeah, we do. I'm like, great. So now I'm going to go back through my content. Like I would have to go into each and individual page and change it. But with Lasso, I can do it all.
I have a question though. Is it going to be able, let's say you link to like 3 of our blog posts, right? And you can affiliate each blog. Would you be able to maintain the slug and add the TID at the end,
Yeah, so we're going to have deep links available. So for each affiliate link, you can create, like, so if you have, so for, let's use your site as an example. If I've been linking to individual pieces of your content, right? Yeah. I would have to create a new link for each one of those because you would have to add that appendage to the end of that URL. But they would all be categorized. They're basically children underneath authorityhacker.com. So that's how we're that's how we're doing. Like basically, you can, for every domain or every affiliate link that you have, you can create multiple deep links under that. And then you can choose when you go to like click the toggle over, do you want the main link or do you want one of the deep links?
So, it's pretty cool. It's like I use Thirsty affiliates for like other affiliate programs, and I use AWP for
for
Amazon right now. Here's one thing that I'm telling you would get people crazy over your plugin, and that's comparison table for products.
Already in the scope.
But the thing is not any comparison table. So the problem is like AWP does comparison table, right?
Yep.
But the problem is like AWP will do like a top 10 products comparison table. Mm-hmm. However, what a lot of affiliate marketers have found is, let's say, like I see like you have the best pool alarm post on your site, right? What people like is like they like to put a best budget, best
Wirecutter style
premium option, exactly. And so it'd be really nice if that plugin could do that, because AWP cannot do that, and there's nothing out of the box that can do that right now. And I know a lot of Amazon affiliates would appreciate that. I think
all we're doing, this is like the main goal of Lasso, is to make your site function like Wirecutter.
Okay. Well, I think a lot of people would be interested then.
Yeah. So imagine you create a display box, or let's imagine you have a product in your affiliate link like manager, right? Mm-hmm. And that is your budget option as a microphone for podcasting or whatever. Yep. You can go into that link and you can add a flag and a tag to it called budget. Yeah. And so when you create the display box, it'll have a flag wrapped around it that says like our budget pick or whatever whatever you decide.
That's what we want, yeah.
And then when you create the display box, it'll say that. But then also when you go to do and this is not in the current version, but we're coming out with it this year. Mm-hmm. When you go to create display table or comparison tables, those flags will also appear there. And you can choose do you want to compare 2 products, 1 product, 3 products, 10 products, doesn't matter. And you can build those tables and then display them wherever you want to. It's the goal is to kind of like imagine AAWP mixed with Thirsty affiliates, mixed with Pretty Links, and all of that on steroids. So that's kind of like, it's like kind of like everything, because Andrew and I are affiliate marketers. Everything we've ever wanted in an affiliate marketing plugin is kind of what we're doing, which is why it's premium.
Here's another request. So like, let's say you promote like an individual affiliate program. Most of them support custom TIDs, which allow you to put the URL, all of that, etc. Mm-hmm. It would be so nice if you guys allow us to put dynamic TIDs, so I can put my URL slug, for example, or something like that. So I have an idea in my affiliate report, in my dashboard, which pages generated the conversions, and then I can.
Oh, like a sub ID?
Yeah, but like you want it dynamic. You want it to like pull the URL or pull the post title or pull something like this dynamically, so that you make the same box, but you put it on like 10 pages. But the link is going to dynamically fill the information for that page, so you know which one made money.
And where are you getting these reports from?
Usually the affiliate dashboard. So like if they're using iDev affiliate, for example, or something like that, mm-hmm. then you are able to just add that slug at the end of your affiliate link, and then you can use that for internal tracking. But the problem is that you need to create a new link every single time. It would be nice if you get a dynamic portion that picks some information about the page that allows me to say, okay, this is the page that generated the sale here. Let's try to rank this page high on Google. This one does not convert, etc. I think
So that's easy to implement and a great idea. Right now, and I have to talk to Andrew about it, you can do sub IDs. So like if you're using impact radius, like he's using, right now he's using something called Affluent, which is like an affiliate link tracker, which is our third phase of Lasso. Is, the first phase is like basically inventory style and like display boxes and stuff. The second one is like crazy display boxes, like the tables and list posts and all that kind of stuff, and themes and custom themes and all that stuff to make it look however you want to look. And then the third phase is we want to show you reporting on everything, like not just what pages are getting the most clicks, but how much money are you actually making? Yeah. So it's really going to be like a soup to nuts thing. But right now I know you can add sub IDs to the target URLs within Lasso and get that information pushed up into impact radius and whatever, like Affluent or whatever. The other thing you can do is we we connect with Google Analytics. So what we do is, and we append display box or link. So we know in analytics through events which products are getting the most clicks on which pages and what style they are, if they're a link or if they're like an in-text link or if they're a display box. And so you can look, so you can look at that now and say, well, this page is getting the most affiliate link clicks, and so we want to, obviously rank for that. Or what's best about it, which I've used several times, is let's say you have a page with 4 or 5 affiliate links that are all different. Well, you can look at that page and go, well, wait a minute, the 4th link on this page is getting more clicks than the first link on that page, so we just go on that post and move it up. Yeah, and that has worked like gangbusters, and that's built in there right now, and it's just through Google Analytics. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I guess the next step is A/B testing as well. That would be sick as well, I think.
Yeah, that would be.
The problem is A/B testing. Everyone wants A/B testing, and nobody does it.
No one does it right either, right? It's like, and it's also, you need a ton of traffic to really get results quickly, and if not, you got to let it ride for a year or so.
Especially for these random pages, it's like some keywords are big, but a lot of keywords are like medium or small, and it's just, you kind of like over the long term make good money, and then you have a lot of these pages, but you can't really it's tricky actually. I guess the analytics makes more sense. Let me just check my notes for a second. I think I'm pretty much done here. Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't?
No, I think we covered everything. We covered Swim University, I think, kind of as much as you could cover Swim University. Money Lab, I think you have to kind of go see it to understand it. It's really hard to sell, I guess. Not that I'm trying to sell anything.
I think people should go check it out, actually. That's the things, like we talked about a lot of the things you do, and these things are documented on Money Lab. So what I think people should do is they should go on moneylab.co and check out the rest if they want to read more, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then Lasso is kind of a separate company that Andrew and I, because we do the podcasts, both podcasts, Money Lab and Listen Money Matters together. And Lasso is sort of our joint project, and it's what we use on all our sites currently. And we just did a massive rehaul in December, and we've been we have 3 developers on it right now, and we are very, very close to getting out the new version. Probably like 2 weeks. And once that's out, we're kind of like all in on Lasso promotion. And we think it's really going to be like the thing. Like, we think it's going to be the thing that we've been like waiting for to really send.
If it's really 2 weeks, if you make your deadline, this podcast is literally coming out when this is coming
out.
That's
what I'll tell Andrew. I'm like, you got 2 weeks, bro. But really, like we need, like, we have a small core group of customers. They need to test it out, because it really is what you see on the website now. It's going to be very different, and it does all the same things, but it's going to look and feel very differently, and it's actually going to be a lot easier to use, which was the whole goal of it.
Show some demos on your site, like it's like, I need to see a box I can click on. That's the one.
And like we just started doing theming, so now you can choose different themes. You can customize the CSS on all those boxes. We're doing grids, and we're doing single boxes. We're doing the next phase is tables, because everyone wants comparison tables for sure. Yeah, and it's not just Amazon. It's Amazon. I mean, it has the same Amazon integration as AWP, but it also you can compare an Amazon product to a non-Amazon product.
But that's what I like. It's like no plugin allows you to do that out of the box, and it's quite interesting, because like I know a lot of niches where we do promote in multiple areas, and it's like, you have your Amazon table, then you link to another store. It's not very clean,
No, it's not.
I think that's going to be quite interesting, actually.
Yeah, and that's the goal.
Well, I think we're going to close it up here. People can go check out moneylab.co. They can go check out getlasso.co. Hopefully, it's going to be updated by the time this podcast is out. And if it's not, it should be here soon. All right, so that's it for this interview with Matt. I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed doing it. I think there's a lot of things to pick up from him, the way he does Pinterest and all of that. I'm quite interested in what Lasso turns out like. If he can help us make our sites look like the Wirecutter, I think it's going to help a lot of people in this industry. And well, if you enjoyed this interview, don't forget there is a subscribe button below. Don't forget to click it. Click on the bell. Drop us a comment. Like the video. It really helps us with the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, I'm back with Mark for another episode of the podcast. Have a good week and stay safe.